And next, we will hear from Peter Yau on the practical applications of AI in pre-university education. And I'm going to bring Peter up to our stage so that he can provide his presentation.
Hello.
Hi, Peter. Peter, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, of course. This is Peter, and I'm a faculty member from University of Glasgow. Well, today, thank you very much for inviting me on having one of my recent research topic. Today, I would like to share with you some of the practical applications of AI in pre-university education. Well, first of all, let me define something. What is the practical applications and what is pre-university? The practical applications here, I'm not referring to some kind of the LLM models, some kind of the software package, okay? This one is more on the pedagogical design in the education way that how an educators and frontline teachers on how to use the computer in a way that having a closer relationship with the students, okay? Pre-university, this one, we are more focusing on the higher secondary school, the polytechnic school, and the vocational school. So let's take a look on the context. Why AI matters. What we are going to discuss today. So first of all, I think that all the people right now will agree that in the computer industry, no matter you talk about the information technologies, okay, AI is certainly a hype word that everyone talking about. Machine learning, deep learning, everything, blah, 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 okay? But if you can date back a little bit, a few years ago, what is another buzzword that we usually talk about a few years ago, okay? Likely you can think about data science, right? And more or less the same time, metaverse, the AR, VR is another kind of the buzzword we always listen about this. So right now, when people talk about AI, how this one applications can be used in the education settings, we need to think about that. What is the foundational differences on all this kind of the technologies can actually apply in our professional area? If you talk about the school, teacher and students, they are the main characters. So that sometimes we think about that students need some kind of the AI literacy. And we talk about some of the meta cognitive skills. What is it? So right now, many people talk about the AI, but when we talk about, well, we don't only talk about the programming technologies, okay? How people can do the programming, how people do the coding. So this one is not some of the privilege that the university students can have it now. No matter you talk about secondary school students, no matter you talk about some of the primary school students, right? So likely a 5 years old students, a children can talk about that, hey, I can do some of the Python. And that's why when we enter an AI era, when we talk about the AI age, it is quite important thing about that. What the students can learn from this all the kind of the technology behind the scene, how they think about the thinking process, what they actually gain from this kind of the all the new tech. And that's why when we talk about the teachers no doubt, okay, teacher face a lot of the administration work, okay. They don't just teach the student, okay. They don't just prepare all the classroom matters. And right now they have lots of the administration issues that need to do it. And that's why when we talk about this concept, how AI actually do give some of the practical applications that help to reduce the loading from the teachers. And that's one of my research focus in the recent years. The next point is automations and augmentations. I just thought about that. Right now, teachers are all busy. Okay, so I think that no one will disagree with me on this point, right? So automation is talking about we try to reduce some of the repetitive word. Okay, likely how to easily communicate with the students, communicate with the parents. So we try to automate some of the process. And the other one and the other stage, okay, we don't only limit on this stage. So just reducing some of our effort to do the repetitive tasks, okay, but we want to enhance the quality. That is why we jump from the automation stage to the augmentations. Augmentation is talking about how we can add something more to this kind of the automation task. We want to extend some of the human intelligence. And of course, there's another aspect we would like to emphasize, emotional, okay, emotional intelligence. How we can make our interactions more natural and more caring, okay? Because we talk about the diversity, we talk about the inclusive, okay? So we want to have this kind of the interactions more closely related to our target. And that's why when we talk about the AI, the practical applications, we would like to amplify, okay, and also emphasize as well. Teachers, when using all this kind of the tech, how the judgment can be enhanced, but not just replacing it, okay? But unfortunately, based on some of the study, people are often using right now the AI, okay, as a kind of the replacement of the search engine. So they don't use Google, they don't use Yahoo, they don't use other kind of the search engine. Instead of just go to the ChatGPT, okay, for example, bring up to the what they call about the prompt engineering. Okay, so they put all the question in the in the LLM, okay, and then get some of the results, okay. But unfortunately, is compared to the search engine technology, okay, because if in the computing science, that one is we talk about the information retrieval. Information retrieval in terms of the Gen AI in this kind of the tag, okay, you know that Gen AI will have some of the illusions. So it is not surprised to give you some of the wrong answer. But instead, search engine information retrieval, okay, by that kind of the algorithm, usually the search engine will be able to reply, okay, or give you certain kind of the more reliable answer just because many people um, they search about the same questions, so they would like to have the same, more or less the same answer. And that's why with the crown wisdom, this kind of the result is more reliable to a certain kind of the LLM model. So why this matter? Why we need to bring about all this kind of the concern? Because eventually it's talking about the interaction. Eventually in the classroom, it is talking about that how the teacher convey the message to the students. And that's why how students feel about the AI and what teacher can do with the AI become the point. And that's why at the very first beginning, I have already highlighted the definitions of the what is the practical applications. And that's why I'm not here to introduce software package A, software package B. I'm here to elaborate some of the findings from my recent research, how the AI applications can have a more useful and beneficial point in the classroom settings. And that's why if we have a little bit of the minor focus in the area of the education, in the area of educations, we usually have this kind of the key domains that AI is right now applying. But of course, right now in this 4 bullet points, I try to rank it into a into a um, minified level or to the extended level. Okay, let me explain it one by one. The first one is teaching support. I would say that this one is an entry level. The entry level, the usage of the AI application is talking about that, well, prompt engineering, what I'm going to teach next week in the programming with Java, with Python, okay, so that you have all these questions, put it into the GPT, and then, yeah, likely you can generate some of the curriculum and then have some of the nice answer. That is the basic level. I would claim that it's a level one. And then the second level is the learning experience. Right now, there's a lot of chatbot. Right now, there's a lot of the open source or the proprietary chatbot built in the LMS, right? So that some of the school claim that by using this kind of the AI chatbot, we would like to enhance the interaction so that the students can anytime, anywhere, um, just log into the LMS so that a virtual tutor can have a seamless learning experience and communications with you along the way. Once, anytime you're facing some of the difficulty, or then you just bring your questions to the chatbot. And I would say that there's a level two. But once again, unfortunately, if you have this kind of experience, okay, dealing with this chatbot, no matter you thought about in the school environment, or no matter you have some of the questions with your bank, okay, um, some of the government service, okay, likely it is just another kind of the if then else um, chatbot design. So that what I mean that if then else chatbot design is usually For example, okay, some of the bands I use is eventually you need to leave a message so that a human agents can reply your message, because basically the chatbot is do not understand about the textual contextual questions that you input to the chatbot. Okay, so eventually it's talking about a human agents need to be involved. Level 3 I was talking about is the assessment and feedback. I would say that this one can be quite insightful. Okay, when you talk about some of the grading, because we just talked about that, well, some kind of the automations can reduce the loading from the teacher side, and the analytical things talking about the students' performance, how we can have the early intervention. That one could be quite insightful. Okay, because um, I think if a teacher, if an educator, if a lecturer, a professor, you have an experience dealing with, you talk about 100, 200, 500 students in lecture theaters. So it's a little bit hard to do a personalized learning. Okay, so it's quite hard to monitor each of the students' performance. And that's why one of the questions in the last session is talking about how the educator gather the real-time feedback, right? Yeah, that is one of the questions in the last sessions in the Q&A. And that's why AI can do quite a good job in this one, okay? Level 4, I would say that is the administration and scheduling, monitoring, okay? But of course, I'm going to elaborate a little bit in the next stage. So I would like to give you one of the example, okay? AI-enabled peer feedback. This one came from my um, real experience, okay? Because this one is one of my research project, and I did it in my classroom in the past 3 years. I'm not sure if you have the same situations, and that's why when I define the P university level, it's talking about a senior high school, a polytechnic school, vocational school, um, some of the school like this, okay, at this level. It's because when a student when a student master some of the elementary skills, okay, on the next stage is when people need to build something scale, people must be team up. Okay, they must do a group work. Okay, so they produce a project together, and everybody is different. Okay, when you work in a group, there must be lots of the different voices, right? So a peer evaluations is quite important in a pre-university level, so that we can understand about different voices from a group. And as a teacher and an educator, right now reclaim ourselves as a learning facilitator. Okay, apart from some of the extreme answer, okay, is talking about it absolutely right or wrong, okay. Apart from all this extreme, okay, usually the students are quite correct, but it is just talking about a different kind of the point of view, okay. So that we are going to do the component A first or the component B first, okay. So that is just a little bit of the ordering matter, and that's why I structured the peer comments. When you talk about some of the AI tools can do a sentiment analysis and consistent check whether or not a student is consistently behave like this or just is occasionally. And that's why I say that some of the insight analytical analysis is quite useful for the educator, okay, for the lecturer and the teaching staff to monitor about the classroom progress. And that's why real-time formative insights for teacher is quite useful for having a fair assessment. Um, One of my research in the past year is talking about gathering um, the feeling of the students, how they understand about a feedback. Okay, this feedback is talking about generated by machine and provided by human, and what the students actually concern. And that's one of the questions I raised it to the excuse raised it to the interviewee. I benefits more from feedback that focus on areas for improvement rather than simply pointing out error. That is the question I provided to the interviewee. Okay, this experiment I interviewed almost 500 students at the pre-university level, and if you have some of the experience in AI, I hope that you can appreciate this question design is because right now, due to certain kind of the limitations, so this kind of the Gen AI, this kind of the LLM is quite good on pointing the error. when you input some of the tests to the LLM and talk about that, what kind of the error, especially in the technical terms, okay, especially in the technical terms, it is not that difficult for the Gen AI to show out in a bullet point format, okay, that is the error one, error two, error three, something like this, okay. But instead, it is a little bit hard to pinpoint and focusly talk about as students what exactly they need to improve. Or maybe some of the model can do it, but I would say that most of them provide a generic answer, okay, instead of focus, okay. Focus is a keyword on this one, and that's why if you take a look to the result, 41 and 49% of them is talking about strongly agree and agree level that yeah, I need more direct um advice and direct comment how I can, as a student, I can improve. And that's why somehow teacher cannot be replaced by an AI tool in this role, okay. And that's why this is one of the questions I would like to share with you. And that is question two. I actually, for this research I have tons of the question, okay. It's totally 10 to 12 pages long, talking about 30 questions, and I just highlight two and share with you. And the other one is an empathetic excuse, feedback tone makes me more open to making changes based on the feedback, okay. And not surprisingly, 40% strongly agree, and another 40% is strongly agree that students, no matter you thought about is the machine generated comment or the human feedback, okay, they want a more um, concerning approach on how they can make the improvement, okay, in the era they made, okay, instead of some of the harsh word or something like this, okay. So why this matter is because right now the AI in assessment and feedback is quite um, largely using in marking and plagiarism detection, okay, and some of them not that much apply in the peer feedback. But you know that driving a students to, and or maybe you can use this word, to motivate them to learn better, or self-driven, okay, that is all talking about the motivations and between the human interaction. And that's why when a students cannot identify a feedback and comment actually generated by a machine or the human, how can they have this kind of the motivation and drive them to excel in their learning journey, okay. And that's one of the research questions I would like to investigate in my research. And that's why the question is, do you think that the students are able to identify if a feedback is given by the machine or human? And this one is actually a very famous test in the computing science sector. So it is a Turing test by Alan Turing. Uh, it is talking about that if a person, okay, if a human can actually identify that he or she is talking with a machine or human, okay. So that this one is, we send some of the random questions or the communication and dialogue with a human being, a experiment subject, and then after the experiment we ask about um the player see whether or not that you can identify you are talking with a computer or a human respondent, okay. So this one is talking about that how good is the AI system design, okay. If eventually is the player C cannot identify that well, he think that he is actually talking with a human, then this AI system is quite do a good job. And that's why further on to the experiment I further raised some of the questions and the feedback style in the art setting. Art setting is talking about if a student is having a strong background in music, in art, in history, um, yeah, some of the subject like this. And the other one is talking about a business setting. So people study about accounting, economy, marketing, okay. So that I give them some of the questions, just like this one, okay. Students have received a feedback. Your marketing strategy was well researched and compiling. I particularly appreciate your focus on customer engagement. Keep pushing this innovative idea. Well, so that you see that this one is quite positive feeling, right? Okay. Not only this, I also research on other area, technology teaching setting. Your enthusiasms for learning new programming language is admirable. Continuing to practice will help solidifying your coding skills. Okay, and the last one is a general setting. General setting is talking about just a typical learning classroom environment. So why I do about this experiment is because I really want to find out if eventually one day the LMS, the learning management system, is replaced by all the chatbot. Okay, it's replaced by all the Gen AI curriculum design, and everything is just a bite size. Everything is generated by the LLM, so that it's a well organized chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can the students actually identify that they are taking a human lesson, or a lesson conducted by a human, or a lesson conducted by a computer? And this one is some of the pilot results from my study. And quite surprisingly, on average, 50 to 70% of the students cannot distinguish the feedback which is generated by the machine, because I can tell you, for all the feedbacks here, okay, no matter you talk about the art teaching setting, business teaching setting, technology, this one, okay, are all generated by a machine. None of them are generated by human. But if you take a look to the result, okay, so this one I also classified it for all these 500 students, okay, so some of them, they classify themselves as they come from the art stream. Okay, some of them they think that they are strong in the business subject. Some of them they think that they are the technical persons, and then you can see that um 72 almost 70% of the business background students and 65% of the general settings, that is for all the students, they feel that the feedback questions, okay, the feedback the comment, okay, I provided to them generated by human. But of course, as what I just said, it is not. Okay, so why we need to have this kind of a result is because we want to have we want to understand how people feel. Okay, in this setting is how the students actually feel about the feedback and the comment, so that by having this statistic, we can better design our curriculum, and we can better use the AI application and save our world as well. And that's why when you talk about a general when you talk about generate a lesson plans, example, some of the summaries, when you talk about to translate some of the materials to diverse learners, okay, different culture, different background, okay, different learning speed, okay, all of this, I would say that it's quite likely we can use the Gen AI to support. That's all the AI tools that can finish the task. And the only advice I would like to give is just verify, verify, and verify. Double confirm the informations you use the AI tools is correct. And I think that right now, many of the AI tools in the market are doing quite a good job. Okay, but of course, this one is they will just doing a better and better job. Okay, and that's why as a human, we just need to verify the output from the AI tools. But replace the human pedagogy, or as what I just said, when you talk about something involving more about the emotional intelligence, especially in the communications, because we don't want our students go away. Okay, we don't want them to go away. Okay, if not, it would just go back to the COVID-19 period. And I don't think that anyone would like to go back to that period, right? And that's why, excuse, and that's why when you talk about some some of the topic that is ethical related, religious, cultural judgment. Okay, we need some of the debate. And I also have a very good research partner that is from the nursing school, nursing and healthcare school. We work together on how to design an AI chatbot, particular in one of the subject in the nursing department, okay, the nursing program. That is talking about the law, the healthcare law, with the first year nursing students, how the nursing students learn the medical law in some of the country and region, because as you can imagine, different country, different regions, they have different kind of the medical laws, right? And that's why when you talk about some about the diversity, various educational needs, like especially to the some of the SEND students, okay, special education needs, and that's why I think that AI tools can help us but cannot replace our role. Uh, I'm going to move a little bit faster, yeah, because I only have 4 minutes left. But in general, is when you talk about the AI in learning experience, I think that AI still do a good job in the tutor and chatbot. But yeah, you just need to pay attention on what kind of the situations you are going to apply in the classroom. And there are lots of the secondary school teacher chit chat with me in some of the conference and discussion forum. Yeah, um, they would like to spend more time with the kids, with the children, and I won't be surprised because when you're talking about some of the students at the age of 10 years old and 12 years old, so that think about at our younger age, right? We also want more focus, attention from our teacher as well, and that's why I strongly encourage um, the pre-university level educator and teachers best use with the AI, and that could save you tons of the time. Okay. Last but not least, and that is not my research, yeah, but I spent some time on doing some of the face recognition things and doing about the virtual avatar, yeah, because if just imagine about um an online presentation, okay, an online webinar, something like this, okay, I think that it would be more engaging, okay, if you see a speaker literally with their face, with their webcam turning on, okay, and there are lots of the studies supporting this idea as well. So you can go to Google Scholar, you can search some of the keyword like this, showing face in the video instruction, blah blah blah, etc., something like this, okay, and then you will find some of this interesting result. So one group of the students doing the experiment is they take the online class with no avatar, with no human being. Okay, everything is just a plain test. And the other one is all done by the online class, but with the face, with the webcam turning on. Okay, with their instructor. And eventually, after the semester, okay, of course, okay, group B, that is the one with the webcam turning on, their academic result is much better than group A. That is literally with just all the plain tests. Okay. So that is some of the one of the case study in my classroom as well. I teach 1109 and 2102 object oriented programming and professional software development and team project using some kind of the similar approach. So I also published some of the framework about how we use the GPT in the blended learning in a responsible way. But due to the time, yes, I think, yeah, if you're interested, you can go to my faculty page or my personal webpage. So we more focus on the responsible AI, how can make our campus and the online environment safer. Yeah, we see lots of the potential by using the AI, but of course there will be some of the things that we would like to highlight. So I think time is more or less up, and then I will just stop here and see if any Q&A, and I will pass back the time to the host. Thank you very much. Yeah, that is my contact information.